Welcome to the e-commerce growth series. My name is Ronald Dodd, Chief Marketing Officer and Partner Visitor here with David Churn of the Builder Depot. Excited to learn a little bit more about you, David, and learn a little bit more about your story. So, get you starting off. Can you just let us know a little bit more about you all and how you started the Builder Depot?
Yeah, I started off in a graduate training program with one of the largest companies in the world. You start off with a broom, work your way up through the management system, all the way up to the top, and then show how you can report to the board and tell them how they can improve their business. After a period of time, they came up with an option of supporting growth in America. But we hit the sales targets, the factory was built, hundreds of people were employed. You got to see a whole town rejuvenated. And then I had a phone call from someone from Europe saying, hey, would you like to be the CEO of a company in the US? All I wanted was the opportunity. The opportunity to build a factory was, how are you going to get that training? You can't. That's not, some people will pay people for that training and how it all worked, how it fitted together, watching the growth, watching the failures, and learning as much as I could in my own spare time. I presented a board report to my board about how we could switch from our current model, which was multiple warehouses, huge cost, to one warehouse, distribute from one location, and then go fully online. Let's just do something that nobody else is doing, because currently this isn't working. And they thought that was absolute madness, because we've just spent the last 7 years building this whole infrastructure of retailers, warehouses. You need to make this work. And fortunately, or unfortunately, 2008 came along and destroyed everything. So we were in the building materials business. Everything was starting to just completely fall apart. And then they closed our company. So you scraped together what cash you had, put a few products online, and that's really how it started.
Yeah. And did you start on, I know you were on Yahoo Commerce. Did you start on Yahoo?
I started with Amazon. So Amazon had a platform where you could build your own website on their platform, which required you to code it yourself in the back end.
Yeah.
So you learned the skills of coding more through that aspect. So you you couldn't afford to hire anyone because you didn't have any money. And then there was also at a time when Frugal existed, which allowed you to put your products online to Google for free.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think of that today, and you could almost dominate the picture area because nobody else had thought to put these products online.
You're one of the original growth hackers using Frugal.
Yeah. And there were other opportunities as well that you could see that were around to grow your business that just don't exist today. All of them were no cost. All of the social media platforms were virtually no cost, as they started out trying to prove their model. So they're trying to prove their model, which was fine, and you're obviously then spotting that opportunity and using that model to help your model. So the whole thing then is their model's growing, your model's growing.
What's really the value prop of why people choose you all over like the big retailers like Home Depot, Lowe's?
They're managing massive warehouses, and I've managed massive warehouses. And when you manage a massive warehouse, you sort of scan a barcode, an employee goes to it, picks it up, and brings it back. But what happens if somebody needs to open a box and check that product? There's no infrastructure in those large organizations to do that system. It doesn't exist. So if it doesn't exist, then they can't offer those products. So simply find the products that they can't offer is the way to go. So don't compete head on with them. Find a product that doesn't fit their model.
And I know you sell a lot of specialty products that are in queries overseas, and you're able to get that direct to the consumer as well, right?
Yeah, so one of the things that I realized is back when I first came into the industry it was very much locked down. All the quarries were exclusives. There was no way to really buy in. But 2008 came along. An exclusivity is only as good as long as you continue to retain the volume. Once the factory is starting to become idle, then the exclusivity falls apart. The best way to get the best quality, the best price, to beat the big guys, is to go at it with cash. Because they needed cash so badly their end due to the effects of the economic recession. And cash has an interesting impact. It makes your supplier love you, and they want to retain you. In order to do that, they're going to give you fantastic quality. That's how business works, isn't it? It's high risk, potentially high reward. Once we realised we had a good supplier, an honest supplier that we could work with, then it was simply a continual process.
And you're able to compete a lot better on pricing because you have much lower prices, lower overhead.
Yeah, you're running at a lower overhead, and you're able to make use of other avenues of marketing, classic guerrilla marketing techniques that doesn't cost your business any money. You attempt because you just don't have marketing dollars. You've got no cost at that point to invest in anything. And so it was probably 8 months in our garage until we eventually moved and leased a warehouse. More or less all the warehouses were empty at this point, so this was pretty easy. At that time period, they didn't care. They just wanted someone to just be in there, because this credit crisis really continued on. It really did have
It lingered for a long time.
Yeah, it had a ripple effect that really continued. And so the 3,000 square feet seemed like a reasonably good idea, and decided to go down that route.
This is probably around like 2011 or 12. You started on Yahoo, right? So you went from the Amazon to Yahoo.
Yeah. So once I moved the warehouses, I went to the Yahoo store.
And that's when you really kind of started taking off, right? When you developed that Yahoo store.
Yeah, it started to scale once we'd moved to our own warehouse and we could take in deliveries as opposed to being in my garage, taking on the Yahoo store, going that route. That's when it started to scale, and probably at that point then we had our best years of triple-digit growth.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal.
And the market's starting to come back to you, right? When you built it, you're getting inventory.
Yeah, and then the employee situation was unbelievable as well. You were able to find fantastic skilled labor, you're highly motivated, and everybody with the same sort of agenda was able to come on board and help this thing grow.
And one thing I really like about your business too is I feel like you have great customer service too, where the person, if someone's trying to get advice on tile, they call you, they're able to get much better expertise and advice on that.
Well, that's where drop shipping, e-commerce drop shipping was another method of used, where you would take anybody's warehouse from around America, put their products on your website and then drop ship it from anywhere, but you've got no access to the inventory. So how are you going to honestly tell your customer, on the phone, that this is this? So we're not shipping via a third party, or we're not shipping from a manufacturer's warehouse where you've got no control. Because that manufacturer is always going to place the most emphasis on what makes him the most money. He is not interested in some person's 20 square foot backsplash. So I wanted to eliminate any drop shipping, because to me, every order, no matter the size, was equally as important as everybody else. Then there's a line, a system. You got your order in, you planned ahead, so here's your order, it's going to ship out in 1 to 2 business days, as we've always agreed. That's the plan. For us, I wanted our guys to be able to pull those products out of a pallet, lay them on the floor, take a picture, send it to the customer and say, are you happy with that? Would you like that to ship out today? Love it, please ship.
You've always been the person who's built the website, done the marketing too. What other things were you able to do just starting out to really get customers at the start of it?
You've got no choice, because you don't have the money, which meant you weren't hiring a guy to pack your marble. You're going to be packing that till 6, 7 o'clock at night. Then you're going to be filling the orders. Then you're going to be doing the accounting. And then you're going to be doing the marketing till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Fortunately, I had a young son who would wake me up at 4 a.m. for feeding. So he would get me up early, and then we would work. We would work there on the website ourselves together, and then I would start packing the orders.
It's crazy. And you ran all the marketing yourself, so you were doing AdWords, you were doing SEO, you were doing social media marketing on Pinterest and more, all yourself, right?
Yeah, every aspect of everything yourself. Yes, I was even doing every part of the company that you could do to make sure that the consumer got the best value. So look at every aspect of the supply chain, from the only point it could come from, which is the quarry, to the end user. What are all the costs that are in that chain? Because every cost has to be paid by the end user for in order for a business to be profitable.
You switch warehouses going from a 3,000 square foot to, what's the new square foot?
60,000.
60,000.
Yeah, so I bought 5 acres. We can still expand it more if we choose to.
Were there any really big challenges moving from the smaller to a larger one?
Yeah, we went from 3,000, and then of course, because this other warehouse was empty, we just went through the next wall, creating 6,000. And then as we grew, we went through the next wall. It was inefficient. It was, that wasn't the most efficient way to run the operation. but it was the most cost-effective way because the landlord was still struggling and landlords were still struggling to fill space at that time. So they let us carry on our recession releasing. Once we got to the point where we'd gone through three walls, eventually this place had become full. But when I looked out of my loading dock, there was 6 acres of land that no one had developed.
And you bought it, right? You bought that land?
Yeah. It would make more conventional sense to lease. But I was interested in the employees and giving them a place that I know would be home. People were the key factor to really take this business and keep it going. And what makes people happy? People are happy if they can see their children, if they're close to the school where their kids go, if they could have lunch with their wife and their family, if the kids could bring them their lunch, if their commute is 10 minutes to their house. So let's put this location that can spend the extra money and make them happy. But then equally, we control the costs of it. Because a major killer of my previous business was fixed costs. For me, I wanted a business that had no fixed costs. So could you imagine a company with 0 fixed costs? You own the warehouse outright, you don't owe a bank anything, and then pass that saving on to the customer. Always keeping our margins the same from when we started in my garage.
So you've got 60,000 square foot building, you got a great website, great customer acquisition strategy, great people that work there. I mean, you have it all right now. What's next for you guys?
We are in a fashion business. Tile is fashion, it's a trend. So there's trends that change. So you have to move with those trends and not get caught out buying an enormous amount of product of the wrong trend. So lots of inventory is the key. You've just got to make sure you've got the right inventory.
Any advice out there for any e-commerce businesses trying to grow fast?
You have to be obsessed, I think. You have to wake up and be absolutely obsessed with whatever you've done. And obsessed with what you're providing the consumer and how the whole process works.
Great. Well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining us in the e-commerce growth series.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, David.
All right.
Cheers.